When you turn off your bedroom light tonight, that sudden, uneasy chill running down your spine is not just your wild modern imagination. That uncomfortable feeling is actually a ghost memory encoded deep within human DNA, inherited directly from our vulnerable and defenseless primeval ancestors. For those early humans, the setting sun did not signify a time for peaceful rest, but rather the immediate return of lethal danger. As twilight faded away, the familiar landscape transformed into a chaotic and highly hostile environment where humans were definitely not at the top. Modern civilizations can easily flick a simple plastic switch to banish shadows, but early hominids possessed no guaranteed protection against dark times. The prehistoric night was a brutal battlefield dominated completely by massive, highly specialized apex predators that ruled the landscape with ultimate power. Our ancestors depended entirely on their limited daytime vision for basic survival, making them incredibly helpless targets once the sun dipped away. Without any artificial light sources, the primeval darkness became thick, heavy, and utterly impossible for any human eye to pierce through successfully. Every single member of the traveling tribe understood that entering the shadows meant stepping directly into the territory of efficient, bloodthirsty monsters. This complete absence of light transformed the familiar African plains into an unpredictable prison where every movement could mean sudden, violent death. Giant cats with massive canine teeth and prehistoric bears possessed spectacular night vision that allowed them to track human prey very easily. These nocturnal predators could move silently through the dense bushes, completely invisible to the weak, straining eyes of their human targets. Every single rustle in the dark undergrowth could mean an approaching saber-toothed hunter preparing to spring from the deep midnight shadows. The pure psychological dread of the unseen must have been an incredibly heavy, constant burden for every individual within the clan. Huddling together inside cold, damp caves or high-exposed trees was the only realistic choice for these early, highly vulnerable groups. Even inside the deepest stone fortresses, the ghostly echoes of distant roaring predators would keep everyone completely awake and trembling in fear. The human brain evolved to treat the dark as an active threat, establishing a permanent state of exhausting, survival-driven hypervigilance every night. Our ancestors could hear the heavy breathing of massive carnivores outside, yet they remained totally unable to see where danger originated. This complete sensory imbalance created a claustrophobic psychological prison, trapping early humans in a cycle of endless, defensive panic until dawn. The evolutionary roots of our modern, deep-seated fear of the dark were firmly planted during these incredibly brutal, ancient prehistoric millennia. Stars offered a faint glimmer of light, but heavy storm clouds could easily plunge the ancient world into total, suffocating blackness. In this spine-chilling dark environment, the human sense of hearing became highly amplified and hypersensitive to every single mysterious outdoor sound. A breaking twig or a soft slithering sound nearby would instantly cause their hearts to race with intense, adrenaline-fueled survival panic. The cold night air was frequently filled with the agonizing, distant screams of other animals being brutally torn apart by hunters. These gruesome sounds served as a constant, brutal reminder of their own extreme fragility in a world ruled by raw muscle. Before the monumental discovery of fire, early humans were essentially sitting ducks, completely at the mercy of the natural environment around. They could only pray that their hiding spots remained undiscovered by the sniffing noses of giant wolves wandering the plains at night. The concept of sleep was vastly different back then, characterized by short, fitful bursts of semi-consciousness rather than deep, relaxing rest. One individual always had to remain somewhat alert, acting as a desperate sentry against the countless horrors lurking in the brush. In the dead of night, a crying baby was a definitive death sentence for the entire prehistoric tribe hiding nearby from beasts. A mother's trembling hand would instantly clamp over her infant's mouth, desperate to maintain the absolute silence required to survive the night. The smells of the prehistoric night were also incredibly intense, carrying the scent of damp earth, decay, and predatory musk nearby. When we feel uneasy in a dark room today, we are actually experiencing the primeval, unfiltered survival instincts of those people. The modern human mind still struggles to find peace in total darkness because our ancestors spent millennia being hunted in shadows. Every shadow in your house triggers the same evolutionary warning system that once saved our species from being eaten alive by monsters. Then, a historic revolution occurred that would forever change the dynamic between humans and the dangerous, predator-filled prehistoric night landscape around. The controlled mastery of fire provided early humans with a powerful weapon to finally strike back against the encroaching darkness nearby. A flickering campfire created a small, glowing sanctuary of safety, pushing the terrifying shadows back by at least a few meters away. The bright dancing flames were highly effective at scaring away large predators that naturally possessed an instinctive, deeply rooted fear of fire. For the first time in evolutionary history, humans could actually look into the darkness and feel a small sense of security. The warmth of the fire also allowed them to survive freezing nighttime temperatures that would otherwise easily cause fatal hypothermia. Gathered closely around the hearth, the tribe could finally communicate, share vital survival strategies, and forge much stronger social bonds. This extra time in the evening eventually gave birth to the earliest forms of language, storytelling, and complex human culture worldwide. They told vivid stories about the terrifying monsters that lived just beyond the light, creating the world's very first horror tales. Yet, the fire was a double-edged sword because its bright light could also act as a visible beacon for distant enemies. Rival hominid tribes, constantly competing for scarce resources, could easily spot the glowing embers from many miles away across the plain. A nighttime raid by a hostile tribe was often far more brutal and unexpected than an attack by a wild animal. Chaos would instantly erupt as primitive weapons clashed in the dim, confusing light of a dying, desperate campfire's final glowing embers. Therefore, maintaining the fire became a matter of supreme importance, requiring constant attention and a steady supply of dry wood. If the fire accidentally went out during a heavy rainstorm, the tribe would instantly find themselves cast back into ultimate hell. The sudden transition from warm light to freezing, absolute blackness was enough to cause immediate, widespread panic among the clan members. In those desperate moments of complete darkness, the ancient predators would quickly move in to exploit the sudden human vulnerability again. Beyond the immediate threat of predators, the prehistoric night was also filled with highly dangerous, invisible environmental hazards everywhere around. Without any modern flashlights, walking even a few steps away from the camp could result in a fatal fall down cliffs. Sharp rocks, hidden venomous snakes, and treacherous swampy bogs were completely invisible, waiting to claim any careless, wandering prehistoric human. Getting lost in the dark meant almost certain death, as finding one's way back to the cave was practically impossible. The night also belonged to massive, swarming clouds of disease-carrying insects that bit ruthlessly, causing painful infections and deadly fevers. There were no modern medicines or soothing ointments to treat these agonizing bites, making the night a time of torment. Changing seasons made the nighttime experience even more unpredictably terrifying and extremely difficult for early humans to endure successfully. During the harsh ice ages, prehistoric nights were incredibly long, with freezing winds howling through the barren, snow-covered valleys. Surviving a single winter night required immense physical endurance and an enormous amount of stored animal fat and thick furs. Many elderly members and young infants simply did not wake up in the morning, freezing to death in their sleep. The psychological toll of these long winters must have been absolutely devastating, creating a deep, profound longing for the sun. For these people, the sun was not just a celestial object, but a benevolent, life-giving deity that rescued them from death. The dawn was greeted with genuine celebration and immense relief, as it meant they had successfully survived yet another night. They could finally venture out to forage for food and hunt animals, temporarily free from the absolute terror of predators. However, the daytime hours were always limited, and the relentless clock of nature was constantly ticking toward the next sunset. The daily struggle for survival was heavily dictated by this endless, unyielding cycle of bright day and terrifyingly dark night. Every single waking hour of the day was spent preparing for the immense, unavoidable challenges of the upcoming nocturnal period. They had to gather enough firewood, secure the cave entrance, and consume enough calories to sustain their bodies through cold. This constant pressure heavily shaped human evolution, favoring individuals who possessed superior intelligence, foresight, and excellent cooperation skills. Lone wolves simply could not survive the prehistoric night, forcing humans to become deeply cooperative, highly social tribal creatures. Our advanced capacity for deep empathy and mutual protection was forged in the terrifying crucible of those dark, ancient nights. We learned to watch each other's backs, to share precious warmth, and to defend the group with our very lives. The prehistoric night was also the birthplace of our deepest spiritual beliefs and earliest, primitive religious anxieties about the universe. Looking up at the vast, star-filled sky, our ancestors began to wonder about their own place in this massive cosmos. They imagined powerful spirits living in the moon and stars, controlling the terrifying shadows that threatened them on Earth below. These early myths were desperate attempts to make sense of a chaotic, dangerous world that they could not fully understand. The night was viewed as a sacred, highly dangerous time when the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds was thinnest. Shamans would perform intense rituals in the dark, seeking protection from the powerful gods of the wild, untamed prehistoric nature. Today, we live in a world that is completely illuminated by bright electricity, virtually erasing the ancient nighttime darkness. We can walk through cities at midnight without ever worrying about being hunted down by a massive saber-toothed tiger. Yet, if you ever find yourself deep in a remote forest at night, away from all modern civilization, listen closely. The primeval darkness is still there, waiting patiently just beyond the thin, fragile reach of your small campfire's light. You will quickly feel that old familiar chill run down your spine, an ancient echo of our ancestors' primal fear. Your ears will automatically strain to catch every single soft rustle in the dark bushes, just like they did millennia ago. You will realize that our modern comfort is just a very recent, highly temporary shield against the true power of nature. The prehistoric night was a harsh, unforgiving teacher that ultimately forced humanity to innovate, adapt, and grow incredibly strong. Without the intense, challenging trials of the dark, we might have never developed the advanced intelligence we possess today. It drove us to master fire, to build secure shelters, and to eventually conquer the entire planet we call home. We are the proud children of the survivors who successfully endured thousands of those terrifying, blood-soaked prehistoric nights. Their profound courage and intense will to live flow directly through our veins, allowing us to thrive in comfort today. So, the next time you comfortably turn off your bedroom lights, take a brief moment to remember the ancient past. Remember the brave souls who huddled together in total darkness, desperately waiting for the beautiful, life-saving morning sun to rise. Their terrifying ancient nightmare is over, but the deep memory of that primeval darkness will remain forever in our DNA. The prehistoric night was truly a masterpiece of natural terror, a time when humanity was tested to its absolute limits. It reminds us that we are ultimately a part of nature, bound to its ancient, endless cycles of light and darkness. This primal fear built the modern world, proving that our greatest innovations were born from the deep desire to survive darkness. If you felt that ancient chill while watching this story, please hit the like button to support our history content. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel so you will never miss our upcoming journeys into dark human history. Share your own thoughts about the fear of darkness in the comment section below, and thank you for watching today. Sleep well tonight, and remember that the ancient light of the sun will always return to banish the cold shadows.